Neve was submerged in the lake all night, but strangely, she suddenly woke up. She swam to the surface in panic and struggled to get to the shore. Neve couldn't remember why she fell into the lake. She returned home with that question. Neve saw her mother in the living room making a phone call, so she hurriedly explained to her mother why she didn't come home last night. But Neve's mother pretended not to see Neve. On the contrary, her mother called the police to find her. Neve wanted to pull her mother's hand, but her mother ignored her. Neve picked up the vase on the table and threw it silently to the ground, but her mother still didn't react at all. Neve's mother turned around and left. Neve lowered her head and found that the vase she had just broken had disappeared. Neve turned her head and found that the vase was still silently on the table. Neve couldn't believe what she saw. Neve hurriedly ran into her younger sister Katie's room to talk, but Katie and her mother's attitudes were exactly the same. They treated her like air. Neve suddenly discovered that something was wrong with her in the mirror. Then she slowly pulled down her collar and was surprised to see a deep strangulation mark on her neck. She realized how scary the situation was, so she quickly ran into the bathroom and used her trembling hands to check the wound. Then she took off her coat and discovered that she had wounds all over her body. Even her head had been hit. Neve was scared and started crying. Could it be that she was really dead? She ran into the bathroom and cried while bathing. After Neve finished bathing, she was surprised to find that her body with many wounds had suddenly healed. She took out a picture of herself and her lover. Some images of last night suddenly appeared in her mind. Before the party yesterday, to investigate the cause of her death, she decided to start an investigation. She rode her motorcycle to the place where the party had been held the night before. The place was in a mess. Neve's father found her phone in the woods through the phone's GPS. He called all his friends in town to help find Neve's whereabouts. Seeing that they had searched for a long time but still couldn't find any clues, Neve was a little worried. At this moment, Neve discovered that the dog could see her, so she immediately thought of a way. She led the dog towards the lake. The others thought that the dog had caught Neve's scent, so they followed it. They led the dog to the lake where Neve woke up this morning. Neve went into the lake and turned around to shout to everyone that she was here. Come find her. But there was still nothing in front of everyone. At this moment, a flock of crows flew out of the forest. They flew to the middle of the lake and stopped hovering, refusing to leave. Everyone saw this strange phenomenon. Neve's boyfriend Joseph found something under the lake. Hearing that, Neve's mother immediately burst into tears. Her father did not dare to believe that his daughter had really drowned. Joseph and his best friend went down to the lake to search. They really found Neve's body under the crows. They brought her body to shore. Seeing that, Neve's mother was in pain and despair and did not want to believe that this was true. Neve's father also came to hug her body and was in extreme pain. Neve saw that her parents wanted to do that, so she was heartbroken and hid in the forest. Then, the police began to investigate. They sealed off the scene. Everyone was chased away. But when Neve's father went into the forest, she discovered that her father could see her again. But the other people around Neve's father thought he was crazy. He also thought that he must have been so sad that he had hallucinations, so he quickly drove away. Neve was still in despair just now, but now the flame of hope in her burned again. She drove after her father, but no matter how she explained, her father refused to stop. Neve drove her motorbike in front of her father's car. Then she was hit by a car and flew far away. Because he was too worried, her father quickly got out of the car to see if she was okay. But Neve stood up unharmed. She said she needed her father's help to find the murderer who killed her, because he was the only one who could see her. He was also the only bridge between her and the real world. In order to investigate the cause of her death, Neve stood silently next to the forensic doctor. She listened seriously to the forensic doctor's words about her body. According to the results of the examination, the forensic doctor guessed that Neve died of suffocation. When the doctors were preparing to perform an autopsy on Neve's body, she stood next to him very nervously. This caused the lights in the room to start flickering. After the autopsy, the medical examiner concluded that Neve had been strangled to death by a leather belt. There were also signs of a blow to the back of her head. She was already dead before she was thrown into the lake. What surprised her even more was that after a chemical test, a large amount of alcohol and anesthetics were found in her body. This meant that someone had put anesthetics in her wine at the party. Neve was both surprised and angry. She didn't know who hated her so much. She hurried home to find her father. Neve told her father that she had been drugged last night. Moreover, the murderer must have been someone she knew, because she couldn't just drink a drink given to her by a stranger. The next day, Neve's family followed the police to the morgue to identify Neve's body. When she saw Neve's body, her mother cried bitterly. She kissed Neve's face to say goodbye for the last time. Neve held her mother's hand, but her mother couldn't feel it. After returning home, Neve used her father's computer to log into her social media account. She went online to review the photos of the night of the crime. She wanted to find any clues. When Neve saw one of the photos, some small pieces of memory appeared in her mind. Neve suddenly remembered that she had drunk alcohol that Tom gave her at the party. Then Neve went to Tom's motorcycle club. While Tom was changing, Neve hurriedly checked his phone. Through the image inside, she remembered that she had been with a girl for a very long time up to that day. At this time, Joseph also entered the dressing room. Joseph told Tom that he really liked Neve. At this time, when she saw the news of Neve's accident, her mother cried in front of the camera and begged witnesses to go to the police station to report the perpetrator. When Neve just arrived home, she looked at the photos from the party and saw that she had indeed played with Alex that night. Neve asked her father to take her to the gas station where Alex worked. Unexpectedly, Alex could see Neve. Neve was both surprised and excited. Neve hurriedly asked Alex what happened that day. Alex said that the last time she saw Neve was Neve with Joseph. Alex had no idea what happened after that. Neve's father was surprised and turned to look at Neve. He didn't understand why someone else could see her. Neve returned to the party and tried to remember the conversation between her and Joseph. That night, Neve and Joseph went into the forest. The two had an argument. It seemed that Neve had suggested breaking up with Joseph. Then she left alone. When Neve's father came home, he comforted his wife. He told her that their daughter was still alive in this world. He told her to try talking to her, but she also became more agitated. She thought that her husband was deliberately angry, so she kicked him out of the house. Neve's father started to drown his sorrows in alcohol. Her mother kept crying. Alex also read the news of Neve's death in the newspaper. On the other side, Joseph got into the camper and found that the lights in the car kept flashing, but Joseph didn't see that Neve was standing in the corner of the car, looking at him. She suspected that he was the murderer. Neve came to find Alex again. At this time, Alex already knew that Neve was dead. When Alex saw Neve, she was a little scared, but she felt more curious. Alex didn't expect that she could talk to the dead. Then Neve told Alex why she came here. Neve hoped that Alex could help her find the real murderer. Only Alex and Neve's father could see her. Neve now suspected Joseph of being the murderer. The night before Neve died, she had an argument with Joseph. Alex didn't dare believe that her cousin had killed someone. Neve said she didn't know who the murderer was. Now she only felt suspicious of Joseph. Neve hoped that Alex could help her investigate. Alex used the excuse of fixing the bike to call Joseph out. But no matter what Alex asked, Joseph still didn't want to mention Neve's story. Joseph even argued with Alex. Neve could only follow Joseph. Unexpectedly, Joseph came to Neve's house. It turned out that Joseph came here to ask Neve's parents for permission to watch Neve. At this time, Neve thought she had misunderstood Joseph. Then Joseph asked Katie out. Neve followed the two of them to the camper. Suddenly, she discovered that the two of them seemed to have some secret. Joseph took out the jacket that Neve wore to the party that day and said that he was now under suspicion. Then the two of them decided to destroy the jacket. Katie was so nervous that she dropped the private box on the ground. Neve wanted to stop them from destroying the evidence, so she quickly picked up the matchbox and took it away. But when Neve turned around, the matchbox was still in the same place. Neve could only watch as they burned her jacket. Neve angrily drove away on her motorbike. Neve went to see Alex again. Neve was sure that Joseph was the murderer who killed her. Neve hoped that Alex could call the police for her, but it seemed that Alex and Joseph had something going on. Alex shook her head and said she didn't want to get involved in this. That night, everyone drank beer and talked. Neve saw Joseph and Tom arguing. Tom thought that Joseph's behavior was very unusual, unlike his girlfriend, who had just passed away. Tom also knew that Joseph and Neve were arguing and were about to break up. Joseph said he knew Tom liked Neve for a long time. Joseph told Tom not to worry about other people's business. The two left in frustration. After Neve's persuasion, Alex finally decided to help her. Alex asked if Joseph had burned Neve's shirt, but Joseph said that the only culprit here was Alex. Alex reported to the police and told them about Joseph burning the shirt. The police quickly came to arrest Joseph for investigation, but suddenly a strange sound appeared in Neve's head. She didn't know how long it took for her to recover, but everyone had already left. When Neve arrived at the police station, Joseph had already begun to be interrogated. No matter what evidence the police brought out, Joseph still refused to admit his crime. Joseph even said that he loved Neve very much. At this time, outside the police station, Neve was waiting for the results. Neve saw that Katie had also come here, so Neve rushed in to see what was going on. Katie said she could prove Joseph's innocence because they had been together that night. Neve didn't expect Katie to have an affair with her boyfriend. Neve angrily went out. At this moment, Neve felt like she had been betrayed by the whole world, but the murderer who killed her was actually someone else. Neve confided in Alex. Neve told Alex about the unpleasant things in her heart. Alex also said that they had the same fate. A few years ago, Alex was driving a car and accidentally got into an accident that killed her best friend. Those painful memories were still clear before her eyes, and this was also one of the reasons why Joseph said Alex was the murderer. Alex remembered that when she had a car accident, she also heard that strange strange sound. At this moment, Neve heard that strange sound again. It seemed to come from deep in the forest outside of town. So Neve decided to go into the forest to find out cause. Neve went into the forest and found some stones stacked in several piles. Neve touched the stone and found that it was covered in coal dust. It seemed that someone often burned something here. Neve then went to Alex and told her about this new discovery. Neve felt sure that there was some secret hidden in that stone. Neve hoped that Alex could investigate with her. Alex told her mother, who was a police officer, about this. Her mother said that in the town, people often went into that forest to worship someone. She didn't know about other things. Neve thought that if she could hear that sound, it might be a kind of guide for her. The two of them went back to the forest to investigate further, but they didn't know that Alex's behavior of talking to the air had attracted her parents' attention. The two of them went to that strange forest to find a place that was rumored to be used for worship. They tried to light a fire, but nothing happened. Just when they were about to give up, a strange sound was recorded. Then it seemed that Neve had come to a pitch-black house. She searched everywhere and found a door with light. After opening the door, Neve returned to the forest. Through Neve's description of the house she saw, Alex guessed that it was probably the abandoned hotel in town. The two decided to go there to investigate, but before they could leave the forest, Neve's hand suddenly emitted black smoke. She immediately understood that this trip might be dangerous, so Neve told Alex to go home first and wait for news. Neve didn't want to involve Alex. Alex went to the bar in town. She wanted to have a drink to ease her worries. Alex's stepfather, who was by her side, seemed to see that she was worried, so he came to ask her what happened. But Alex knew very well that this matter could not be explained. She just asked him if he knew about the abandoned hotel. At this time, Neve went to the abandoned hotel alone. She found the room she had seen in the forest. At this time, the strange sound suddenly appeared. Neve was frightened. Immediately after, an invisible force tightened her neck, making it impossible for her to breathe. She remembered that this was what she felt before she died. She was strangled to death by the murderer in this room. At this time, footsteps suddenly came from behind. Neve turned her head to look. It turned out to be William, Alex's stepfather. It seemed that he could see her too. Neve said that she had found the crime scene. She wanted to ask him for help, but he didn't say anything and still walked step by step towards her. At this moment, Neve suddenly realized that the other party might be the murderer who killed her. He apologized to her. He didn't want to do that either. Neve screamed for help, but it was useless. After a while of fighting, Neve tried her best to escape his control and ran out of the hotel. Neve ran frantically in the dark night. William drove and chased after her. Neve ran to Alex's house and looked for the belt William used to strangle her. Neve couldn't find it. Alex thought Neve was a thief. Neve then told Alex that the murderer who killed her was William, Alex's stepfather. Alex could hardly accept this fact. Neve felt that now Neve looked at everyone as if they were her murderer. A few days ago, Neve said that Joseph was the murderer. Now, she suspected William. Alex wanted to probe her stepfather, but unexpectedly, he had always been gentle. But this time, not only did he not say where he had been last night, but he even blamed Alex for her recent unusual behavior. He said she should go to the hospital for a checkup. Just like that, the two of them left in frustration. Alex could clearly feel that her stepfather was very unusual, so she went to the family warehouse to see if she could find the leather belt that Neve had mentioned. But before Alex could find it, William suddenly appeared outside the door. When Alex left, she accidentally saw a very suspicious wound on William's palm. At this time, Neve hurriedly told her father what happened last night. They had no evidence, so they could only continue to look for a matchmaker. First, they went to Joseph's camper to ask about William's whereabouts on the night of the party, but they found nothing, so Neve went to Alex's house to ask William, but William pretended not to see Neve. He still went straight out. Neve kept provoking William with words. Sure enough, he got angry and drove away. After Alex returned home, she told her mother that William might have something to do with Neve's death. William had told Alex to lie to her mother and the police. That year, because Joseph covered Alex's eyes with his hand, she had an accident that killed her best friend. William let Alex take the blame to protect Joseph. Alex's mother also remembered the day Neve had the accident. When she woke up, she didn't see William by her side. At this time, Neve's father came to the police station. He said he saw William with his daughter on the night of the party. He hoped the police would investigate. The police went to Alex's house. Alex's mother finally believed Alex's words, so she admitted to her colleagues that William wasn't home on the night Neve was killed. After getting the witness's statement, the police immediately took action to arrest William. But when Neve's father reported to the police, he was seen by a club member. They went to Neve's house and asked her father why he framed their coach. Joseph and Neve's father had a conflict and fought. After Neve's murderer William was arrested, she felt more at ease than ever. Neve and Alex went to a nearby cliff. They stood against the wind and screamed like crazy. They wanted to clear away the frustration in their hearts. When the two hugged each other, Neve suddenly felt that this scene was very familiar. Neve remembered the party the night she was murdered. Alex had given Neve sleeping pills. Alex kept explaining that she had only done so to make the party more exciting and that she had no intention of harming Neve. Alex did not tell Neve about this because she was afraid of losing her friend, Neve. When Neve saw that her best friend, whom she trusted the most, was still lying to her, she did not know who she could trust. The three people who could see Neve were the ones who hurt her the most. Could this be the reason why they saw her? At this moment, Alex suddenly looked at Neve with a surprised expression. It turned out that Neve's hands were turning into black smoke and gradually disappearing. Not long after, it healed, but this was definitely not a good thing. Neve returned home and found that her parents were also there. In addition, Neve's father told her mother that they could see Neve. Although Neve's mother could not see her, with the help of her father, the two of them were able to talk to each other. After Neve's mother asked about things that only the two of them knew, she finally accepted the fact that Neve had become a ghost. Neve's mother said that the two of them used to go out shopping together, but as Neve grew up, they gradually became distant from each other. She couldn't remember the last time she hugged Neve. The three of them had a chance to reunite with great difficulty, but the pastor came and interrupted. It turned out that the town pastor was urging them to bury Neve's body quickly. Neve was so scared that she ran out. Her father followed her and asked her why. Neve told him about her turning into black smoke. She suspected that if her body was buried, she would also turn into black smoke and disappear. She never saw her parents again. Meanwhile, William was still being questioned at the police station. The police found the key to the boat on the lake, but William explained that it was a public boat. Many people in town had keys to it, but the police said they had found blood stains on an abandoned hotel. The forensics were doing a DNA test. William said he couldn't say anything. Her mother had argued with Pastor about Neve's burial. It was difficult for her to talk to her daughter through her husband. She didn't want her child to disappear from her again. But she also knew that not burying Neve was not a long-term solution. This made her extremely miserable. She went to church to pray to God for an answer. Because Neve couldn't bear to see her mother sad, she blew out the candle to show that she was willing to bury her. So the whole family was filled with pain and buried Neve's body. The next morning, Neve woke up and found that she had not disappeared. Neve was extremely happy and wanted to tell Alex, but at this time, William was released due to insufficient evidence. Alex's mother thought that it didn't matter whether William killed Neve or not. The only thing that William did was make Alex take the blame for Joseph, which made her unable to forgive him. She went to pack William's things and kicked him out of the house. Seeing William's arrogant face, Neve was extremely angry. Even if William wasn't the murderer who killed her, he was definitely involved in this case. Neve thought that if the law could not punish William, she would find another way, but she did not know where to start the investigation. Neve felt extremely helpless, but at this moment, that strange sound appeared next to her hand. This time the sound was even clearer. Alex watched in surprise as Neve flew into the air and disappeared in front of her. At this moment, Neve discovered that she had arrived at the abandoned hotel. That sound seemed to tell her something. When she saw the scratch marks on the chair in the room, she tried to touch it with her finger. She guessed that this was probably where the strange sound came from. While Neve was wondering, she looked to the corner of the room and saw a skeleton wearing a skirt lying there. It turned out that someone else had been killed in this room. The skeleton suddenly turned into a black smoke and then gathered into the shape of a human. This woman was Victoria, William's ex-wife. Only then did Neve realize that the strange sound was made by Victoria. It seemed like Victoria hadn't talked to a human for a long time. Victoria also recognized Neve. Victoria knew for sure that she was killed by someone, but she didn't know who she had offended in her entire life. Until that day, when Neve woke up in the lake, Victoria suddenly felt Neve's presence. So Victoria also used this sound to lure Neve here. Victoria also didn't know why she appeared here. Then Victoria showed Neve the mark on her neck. Neve realized that they were killed by the same person. Victoria showed Neve what she had experienced on the day she died. That day was William's birthday. They invited many close friends to their house to celebrate the birthday. The guests included Neve's parents and William. Joseph's father was Michael. Everyone had lived in the town together since they were young. They drank and talked happily. The atmosphere was very harmonious. But suddenly William and Michael quarreled over the hotel investment. Victoria comforted Michael, but he misunderstood that she had feelings for him. This scene was seen by William, making the two of them extremely embarrassed. Victoria went to the parking lot. She wanted to take out the surprise birthday gift she had prepared for her husband, but suddenly she discovered that she had left it at the hotel that was being renovated. She drove there to get it. Suddenly she heard a noise from a room upstairs. She mustered up the courage to go upstairs to check. It turned out that she had forgotten to close the window, so the wind blew in. At this moment, footsteps came from behind. She turned her head to look, and her eyes suddenly went dark. After that, she arrived at this prison-like place. Alex. Her memories gradually disappeared. She had forgotten a lot of things. It was not until she met Neve that she remembered. Both of them wanted to find the murderer. At the same time, Nev's father was arrested by the police because he accidentally said that the murder weapon was a belt, but the police did not announce this to the public. He said that his daughter's ghost told him this. But this absurd explanation made the police unable to believe it. The police thought that he was hiding something. They even thought that he was William's accomplice. The police chief went to see William again to confirm, but he refused to talk. Neve's mother accidentally saw a blurry figure in the photo her son had recently taken. In front of her ex-husband, there was always a blurry figure. Her son thought that the camera was broken, so after printing the photo, he threw it aside. Neve's mother quickly contacted the police chief and said that she could prove that her daughter's ghost existed. She showed the photo to the police chief, but she still thought that they were hallucinating because they were so sad about losing their daughter. So Neve's mother told the police chief to contact Alex because Alex could also see her daughter's ghost. At this time, Alex went to the abandoned hotel alone. Alex saw William in the room. He must have had something to do with this. Alex asked William what happened, but William only said that he didn't kill Neve. When Alex asked who the killer was, William looked extremely miserable, but he refused to say the killer's name. In the abandoned hotel, Neve and Victoria thought that because they were scared, they couldn't remember what happened before they died. The two decided to hold hands and remember together. Neve's diary went back to that night's dinner party in the forest. Neve had just had an argument with Joseph, so she walked home alone on the pitch-black road. Suddenly, a car came from behind her. It was Joseph's father, Michael. Neve got in the car and hoped that Michael would take her home. But when Michael learned that Neve had just broken up with his son, he suddenly got angry and beat her. Neve was scared, so she quickly got out of the car and ran into the woods. But before that, at the party, Neve had taken Alex's sleeping pills, so she had only run a few steps when she stopped. Michael chased after her. He used a rock to knock Neve down. Then he took off his belt and walked towards her. Neve felt like she had been murdered and couldn't breathe. Neve woke up from her memories. Neve told Victoria that the murderer who killed her was Michael. At this time, Victoria's memories also came flooding back. When Victoria went to the hotel to get the gift, she found that Michael was following her. He also followed her here. When they were young, the two had loved each other, but Victoria still married William, not Michael. This made Michael hateful. In the end, Michael used a leather belt to strangle Victoria, causing her to die in the room. At this time, at the hotel, Alex asked William who killed Neve. At this moment, Michael also entered and asked what William said to Alex. William saw Michael looking at Alex with fierce eyes, so he quickly used his body to cover Alex so she could run first. But she did not leave, but hid in a corner of the stairs, eavesdropping on William and Michael talking to each other. It turned out that since that year, after Michael killed Victoria, William had intentionally bought this hotel to hide the crime scene. So everyone in town thought that William had left home. No one knew she was dead. After Michael killed Neve, he also told William. William also helped his brother destroy the murder weapon, the leather belt, but Michael still wanted to kill Alex. This made William both angry and disappointed. Michael told William that if Alex told on him, William would not be able to escape, but William said he had a way to escape, and then he left. At this time, the police chief talked to Neve's mother, and he learned that Alex could also see Neve, so she called her to ask. The phone rang, and immediately attracted Michael's attention. Michael slowly approached the hallway, but luckily Alex had escaped. After Michael left, Alex quickly called the police for help, and she told the whole story. At the same time, she told the police that the murderer was Michael. Then Alex saw flashing lights. Alex thought that Neve's ghost was in this abandoned hotel. Alex also started searching the entire hotel. The police chief immediately mobilized people to arrest Michael. Neve's mother also went to the hotel to look for her daughter. Neve discovered that they were locked in a room because they could not destroy real objects. So no matter what, they couldn't break the door that was blocked. But Alex followed the flashing lights to a room. Alex heard Neve knocking on the door. Alex pushed the door open, but from behind the wall came Neve's voice. Neve told Victoria to come with her, but Victoria had been locked in here for so long that she felt the outside world was extremely strange and scary. She would rather stay here than go anywhere. Victoria's only request was that Neve tell everyone the truth. When Neve's mother arrived, Alex had already broken a big hole in the wall. The two of them worked together to save Alex, who was locked inside. Then, they went to Alex's house. At this time, William was digging up the murder weapon that he had secretly hidden before. Then he hid it in a safe place. Michael kept calling William, but no one answered. Then Michael went to William's house. Michael hid behind the door and heard William about to hand over his evidence to the police. Michael raised a knife and threatened William to hand over the evidence. At this time, William saw Neve's ghost standing outside the door. He shouted that the evidence was at the club. Then William tried to run away, but Michael had lost all reason. Michael rushed to a attack William. Michael killed his own brother, but he did not feel guilty. Now the only thing he could think of was to destroy the evidence in the club. When Michael went to the club to find the evidence, Neve came to control the black light. Michael was so scared that he ran away in a hurry, but when Michael got into the car, Neve's father used a belt to strangle him. It turned out that Neve's mother had told her father the truth before. In order to avenge his daughter, he wanted to kill Michael the same way Michael killed his daughter. By the time Neve's mother arrived, Michael had stopped breathing. After receiving artificial respiration, he regained consciousness. When Michael regained consciousness, he suddenly saw Neve. The police heard the news and rushed over. They quickly sealed off the hotel. In the dark room, they found Victoria's body. Victoria saw that she was about to be saved, so she bravely walked out. When she went out of the hotel door, she finally met her husband and child, the people she missed day and night, but they couldn't see her. The police had evidence of Michael's crime, so they immediately interrogated him. Michael then went to jail and paid for his crimes. As soon as Michael entered the jail, he saw Neve's ghost waiting for him. Michael thought he was hallucinating, but Neve still asked Michael why he killed her. Michael thought Neve deserved it. Neve criticized Michael's life. Neva, his son Joseph, couldn't respect him. Victoria made Michael feel stupid. Michael wanted to prove himself good enough to have Victoria. Seeing Michael like that, Neve said she could kill him, causing his heart to stop. But Neve wouldn't turn into someone like Michael and hurt others. Neve wanted Michael to spend the rest of his life in prison. Then she disappeared into the cell. At this point, all the questions were answered. The murderer had to receive appropriate punishment. The dark clouds that had covered the town for so many years could finally disappear. After Neve said goodbye to her father and Alex, she returned home and saw her family playing happily. She saw her mother drawing herself. Even though she was very reluctant, she knew very well that it was time for her to go. She drove her most beloved motorbike away. And at this moment, Michael in prison was sad because he had to be in prison. But suddenly, the black smoke in the corner of the wall gradually gathered, turned into Victoria and walked towards him. Victoria said she couldn't be like Neve. Then Victoria turned into black smoke and enveloped him. When the police found out, Michael's heart had stopped beating. He had to pay for what he had done. That's the summary of the movie The Rising. Goodbye to everyone who has been following. Goodbye, and see you again.